Hi everyone, my name is Huang. I'm 25 years old, and a few days ago I came back to the place where I was born after spending 3 years trying to build a life in one of Vietnam's busiest cities. I came home with no job, no clear plan, and honestly, not much money left. This small room is where my new life begins. The room is only about 10 square meters. There's an old bed, a few personal belongings covered in dust, and clothes I left behind a long time ago. Since I moved away, this room had stayed locked, quietly waiting for the day I would come back. This house means more to me than just a place to live. My parents built it through years of hard work, working under the hot sun and through rainy seasons, so their children could have a better life than they did. Every wall reminds me of sacrifices I was too young to understand back then. When I left home, I truly believed the city would change my life. I thought if I worked hard enough, I'd earn more money, become successful, and one day make my parents proud. Like so many young people, I believed opportunity was waiting somewhere far away from home. But life doesn't always follow the plans we make when we're 18. The more I chased success, the further away it seemed. I worked hard, but somehow I always felt like I was running without ever reaching the finish line. People often say the city is full of dreams. I think that's true. But I've also learned that the same city can feel completely different depending on who you are. For some people, it's a place where dreams come true. For others, it's simply a place where survival becomes your full time job. I'm just an ordinary guy from a small village. I wasn't born into a wealthy family, and I never expected life to be easy. All I wanted was to work honestly, earn enough to support myself, and hopefully make life a little easier for the people who raised me. My family has four people: my parents, my older sister, and me. My sister has been working in Japan for almost 6 years now. It's been so long since we were all together under the same roof that sometimes it doesn't even feel real anymore. Even though she's far away, I know why she left. Just like me, she wanted to help our family. Sometimes growing up means leaving the people you love so you can try to give them a better future. My parents still work as factory workers near our hometown. Every morning they leave early, and every evening they come home tired, yet they rarely complain. They've spent most of their lives working so their children could have opportunities they never had. Watching them grow older is one of the hardest parts of becoming an adult. When I was younger, I thought parents would always stay strong. Now I notice the gray hair, the slower steps, and the tired smiles they try to hide. We never had much money when I was growing up. Because of that, I learned very early that every dollar had value. Before buying anything, my parents always had to think carefully about whether we truly needed it. I almost never asked them to buy me things. When my friends got new clothes, I kept wearing the same ones for years. When they joined extra classes or went on school trips, I quietly stayed behind because I knew my parents already had enough to worry about. It wasn't that they didn't love me, they loved me more than anything. I just didn't want my wishes to become another burden they had to carry. School was one of the few places where I felt hopeful. I loved learning because I believed education could change my future. I dreamed about going to college, finding a stable career, and eventually giving my parents the comfortable life they deserved. Dreams can be expensive. After finishing high school, I realized my family simply couldn't afford university tuition, rent, and living expenses. I thought about it for a long time before making the hardest decision I'd made at that point in my life. I gave up my dream of going to college, not because I stopped loving education, but because I believed my family needed my income more than another diploma. Looking back now, I still wonder what life might have been like if things had been different. When I turned 18, I packed a few sets of clothes into a backpack and left my hometown. My parents had saved a little money to help me get started. It wasn't much, but I knew every single bill had come from hours of their hard work. I can still remember looking back through the window as the bus pulled away. My parents were getting smaller and smaller until I couldn't see them anymore. At that moment, I believed I was driving toward a better future. I didn't know then that 3 years later, I'd be coming back. When I was 18, I left my hometown with a small backpack and a dream that many young people have. I believed the city would give me a better future. At first, I worked in a factory, but the pressure was overwhelming. Long hours, strict managers, and the constant stress slowly wore me down. After leaving that job, I took almost any work I could find. As long as it helped me earn a living, I was willing to try. Life in the city wasn't as exciting as I had imagined. Rent, food, transportation, and everyday expenses seemed to take away almost everything I earned. I learned how to survive on very little, but no matter how hard I worked, it always felt like I was running just to stay in the same place. Later, I found a job doing something I genuinely loved, filming and editing videos. I spent my days carrying cameras under the hot sun, climbing hills, crossing streams, and my nights sitting in front of a computer editing until midnight. I gave that job everything I had. My salary was around 6 million Vietnamese dong a month. It wasn't enough for the amount of work, but I kept telling myself that if I worked harder, things would eventually get better. Months turned into years, but my income barely changed while my body became more and more exhausted. I often came home with sore muscles, injuries, and almost no energy left. There were moments when I wondered if all this hard work was really taking me where I wanted to go. The city was beautiful, but I slowly realized something. Maybe people are right when they say the city shines for the wealthy, but it makes the poor cry. I don't blame the city. It gave me experience, taught me how to survive, and helped me grow up. Somewhere along the way, I also lost a part of myself. I was working so hard to build a future that I forgot how to enjoy the present. After 3 years, I finally admitted something I had been afraid to say. I was lost. Coming home wasn't an easy decision. I knew people might think I had failed. 25-year-old man with no stable job, no wife, and no clear plan for the future doesn't exactly look successful. To be honest, those thoughts scared me. But deep down, I also knew that staying in a life that made me unhappy would be even scarier. So I packed my things and came back to the place where I was born. Back to the small house my parents built with years of hard work. Back to the room that had been waiting quietly for me all this time. When I walked through the front door again, I realized something I had almost forgotten. No matter how far I had gone, home was still home. My parents didn't ask why I came back. They didn't ask how much money I had left or whether I had succeeded. They simply welcomed me home. At that moment, I understood that no matter how old I become, there will always be one place where I don't have to pretend to be strong. I don't know what my future will look like. I don't know how long it will take to rebuild my life. But I know one thing, Dot. This time, I'm not starting with nothing. I'm starting with experience, with the lessons I learned through failure, and with two hands that are still willing to work. Maybe I'll move forward slowly. Maybe I'll fail again. But I'd rather build a life that truly belongs to me than spend years chasing a version of success that never made me happy. So this is where my new journey begins. Not in a big city, not with a perfect plan, but right here, in the place where my story first began.
Being unemployed and alone is only a chapter of his life, not the end of his story. Without money, even simple things become difficult. He rarely goes out, avoids meeting friends, and often feels lonely. He starts looking for work, taking better care of himself, and learning to appreciate the small things. He may not have much today, but he still has hope. Being unemployed and alone is only a chapter of his life, not the end of his story. Welcome to the story of a 25-year-old guy. Let's begin. Another day has come and gone. For this 25-year-old young man, life feels very different now. Not long ago, I left his hometown hoping to find work and build a better future in the city. But instead of finding stability, he was deceived by a dishonest company and lost almost all the money he had. With no job, no income, and nothing left to hold on to, he eventually had no choice but to return home. Now, the city is behind him, but the worries have followed him back. I have made a big decision. After everything that happened, I could have given up. I could have kept my savings and simply waited for another opportunity. But I decided to take a different path. I'm going to use the money I have saved to invest in the one place that still feels like home to me, my beloved little house. And I am also going to invest my time, energy, and whatever I have left into YouTube. I know it is a risk. There is no guarantee that YouTube will bring me an income. There is no guarantee that my videos will succeed. But after losing so much, I realized that I don't want to spend the rest of my life being afraid of taking another chance. This house may be small and far from the city, but it is where I still have hope. So I'm going to start again from here, with the little savings I have left, my old home, and a camera in my hands. I don't know where this journey will take me, but for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm finally fighting for my own future. Alright, I'm going to show you some items I ordered on the Vietnamese Shopee app. These are stainless steel food containers. I bought them to store leftovers safely, keeping them free from bacterial contamination so I can eat them later. Basically, they are a safer option. I bought a set of 4 for $1.20, and they are very useful for everyday life. Next up is an essential item for large families. You are likely all too familiar with the sight of bathroom items scattered haphazardly, forcing you to scramble to find what you need. Here is the solution: a self-assembly plastic cabinet. While I wouldn't claim it is incredibly sturdy, it is very useful for storing odds and ends. I bought it for just around $0.30. Being plastic, it was quite cheap. And assembly was a breeze thanks to the pre-designed connectors. I simply snapped the pieces together and it was done. As you can see, the bathroom is very cluttered because there are 3 of us living here. Now, I'm going to show you the benefits of this cabinet. Household goods, clothing, cosmetics, and more. You simply place an order and make a payment. In Vietnam, we have many online ordering platforms where you can buy almost anything, food. The system processes the request and arranges for delivery. On average, it takes about 1 or 2 days for the order to arrive, though it is faster if you are nearby. I live close to the warehouse, so my order was delivered on the same day. I used an app called Shopee, which is the leading shopping app here. I believe it is exclusive to Vietnam. A versatile power strip is an essential household item that serves many purposes. Next, I'm going to open a new package containing a multi-purpose kitchen utility rack. I managed to snag it for a bargain price on Shopee, around $0.30. It appears to be made of hard plastic and is designed to hold kitchen items like spices, cutlery, and other small accessories. I've done some work involving the assembly of accessories, so putting these items together is quite simple for me. It's much easier once you fit the joints together. Whenever I cook, grease splatters onto this area, so I applied a layer of heat-resistant aluminum foil to make cleaning easier, since splatters on the wall itself are hard to clean. and it also looks more aesthetically pleasing.
xin ảnh trước mình biết của mình như thế nào.
Không cẩn trọng lắm đấy.
Nhiều khách họ cứ bảo là xin mẫu, xin ảnh.
What can one day's salary buy in Vietnam? Hello, I'm Hoang, a 25-year-old Vietnamese. Many Vietnamese earn about $10 per day. I'm taking you to a local supermarket to see how much food we can buy. Let me show you how much $10 can last me in the supermarket. Hello everyone, today I'm going to take you to the Vietnamese version of Costco. They sell fresh food and groceries, often in larger sizes. Many restaurants and small businesses shop here, but regular customers can shop here too. First, I'll need to go to the area where the carts are kept to load up my items. It's right by the entrance, so it's easy to spot and not difficult for a newcomer to find. Here I found a car. I don't know what make it, but I think they keep it here for display and sale, because there are usually a lot of customers here. There is a wide variety of items here, such as clothing, footwear, and children's toys. I only browsed since I don't have a family yet, but if I had children, I would spend more time here. There are a lot of unusual toys here, and I'm quite interested in some of them. I quite like the lucky cat. It brings good luck. All right, I'll head over to the men's grooming section. That's the area I visit most often. It's essential. This booth displays various types of men's body oils and lotions, brands that are quite popular in Vietnam. I bought one last week, so today I'm just browsing. It costs about $2, and a bottle usually lasts me around a month. For men, personal grooming doesn't need to be complicated. With just a few simple essentials such as a razor, shaving cream, hair wax, and a touch of cologne, you can look well groomed and feel more confident every day. A clean shave brightens your face and creates a polished look, while hair wax helps you style your hair to suit your personal aesthetic. These small touches not only enhance your appearance but also reflect self-respect. Sometimes, a clean-cut look, neat hair, and a boost of confidence are all it takes to start the day off right. Next, we'll head to the area that women visit the most. Personally, I don't make distinctions based on gender. I'm perfectly capable of doing housework and cooking, so let's check out the household goods section. There are quite a few types of mops here, but I actually bought one just the other day. The average price for a modern mop here is a little over $3. They display a wide range of dishwashing liquids, laundry detergents, toilet cleaners, and floor cleaners from many different brands. I frequently visit this section because I enjoy cleaning. It's a hobby of mine, and prices average between $0.50 and $2. There are plenty of handy tools for homemakers, brushes for toilet bowls and pots, and even dried loofah sponges used for washing dishes. The variety is quite impressive. These items are also very cheap. You can buy them for just around $0.20 to $1. I'm going to buy a drain strainer because the one I have at home is old. It works really well to catch debris in the sink. I'll also get a pack of toilet freshener strips to help eliminate odors. The total cost for both items is around $1. Some types of mini trash cans for around $2. These are handcrafted items. The baskets and plates are made by skilled artisans. While I find the price, around $2 per piece, quite high, they are undeniably durable and clean. However, I personally wouldn't choose them. In Vietnam, large supermarkets like this one are becoming more common, especially in big cities. They offer a convenient and comfortable shopping experience, with everything organized neatly in one place, from fresh vegetables and meat to household products, clothing, cosmetics, and imported goods. However, shopping at a large supermarket can be relatively expensive for many Vietnamese families. In general, these supermarkets tend to attract middle-income and higher-income customers, especially people earning around $500 a month or more. For them, the convenience, cleanliness, air conditioning, fixed prices, and wide selection of products can make supermarket shopping worth the extra cost. But for people with lower incomes, every dollar matters. Instead of going to a supermarket, many families prefer traditional local markets. Traditional markets can be found in almost every neighborhood and village across Vietnam. They are usually much closer to people's homes, and shoppers can buy fresh food every day without spending too much money. At a traditional market, you can find almost everything a family needs for a daily meal. There are vegetables, fresh meat, fish, eggs, tofu, fruit, spices, and many other local products. Because many of these foods come directly from local farmers, fishermen, or small suppliers, the prices can often be lower than those in supermarkets. Another interesting thing about traditional markets is the personal connection. Customers often know the sellers, and they may come back to the same stall every day. Sometimes people can even negotiate the price, especially when buying several items. This creates a very different atmosphere from a modern supermarket, where everything has a fixed price and customers simply pick up what they need and pay at the checkout. For many Vietnamese people, going to the traditional market is not just about saving money. It is also part of everyday life and local culture. Early in the morning, markets become busy with people buying breakfast and fresh ingredients for lunch or dinner. You can hear vendors calling out to customers, motorcycles passing by, and people talking about their families, their work, and their daily lives. Of course, supermarkets also have their advantages. They are cleaner and more comfortable, especially on hot or rainy days. Products are usually packaged carefully, and customers can take their time choosing what they want without worrying about bargaining. But when a family has a limited monthly income, convenience is not always the most important thing. Saving a few dollars here and there can make a big difference at the end of the month. That is why traditional markets are still an important part of life in Vietnam. Even though modern supermarkets are growing quickly, millions of Vietnamese people still prefer local markets because they are affordable, familiar, and deeply connected to everyday life. For many people, the choice between a supermarket and a traditional market is not simply about where they prefer to shop. It is often a reflection of their income, their lifestyle, and the way they manage their family's budget. And perhaps this is one of the most interesting things about life in Vietnam. Within the same city, you can see people living completely different lifestyles. Some may spend hundreds of dollars shopping at modern supermarkets, while others carefully choose the cheapest vegetables and meat at a traditional market. Both are part of modern Vietnam, and together, they show the diversity of everyday life here. All right, let's get back to the supermarket products. Here's the cheese section. I think a lot of people enjoy it. I eat it too, though rarely because it's very rich. It costs around $2. There are also some small pizzas here that look quite interesting. They also sell a wide variety of nutritious nuts and legumes, such as peanuts, black beans, soybeans, macadamia nuts, and cashews, perfect for those following specific dietary plans. The prices are quite affordable too, at just around $0.50 per pack. Pasteurized yogurt is a favorite of mine. A pack costs $1, and it is very good for the digestive system. This stall offers ready-made canned food products. Once you buy them, you simply need to reheat them using an oven or a frying pan before eating. As a student, I often prioritized these items because they were quick and incredibly convenient. Plus, the price was very low, only about $1 or $2 per serving. Of course, I'll buy a portion to keep for the days when I'm too lazy to cook. And here is my lunch for today. A pre-packaged pizza that looks quite appetizing. Pizza is one of my absolute favorites. I really love it. I bought one and plan to bake it to make it look even more appealing. It costs just 0.75. We stop by the sections selling items like seafood, pork, and beef. These products are frozen and kept in freezers. The supermarket itself is also very cold, as the air conditioning is kept running to ensure the food is well preserved. These are the biggest sausages I've ever seen, but looking at the price, I didn't dare buy them. They cost about $5 each. At $5 for one sausage, low-income people would just ignore them and move on. While browsing the various stalls, I came across a rather interesting young couple. It appeared the young man had a leg disability, and the young woman was pushing him around so he could visit each booth. It was a testament to a magnificent friendship or a pure, loving bond. She had become his legs, never shying away or walking out on him, but instead staying by his side to ensure he could experience everything to the fullest. Vietnam celebrates the Mid-Autumn Festival, a day when people buy lanterns and mooncakes to mark the occasion. On this day, I once saw the largest mooncake I have ever encountered. It was made from wheat flour and filled with a variety of ingredients, resulting in a delicious, sweet flavor.
ba sáu tám 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 bảy bốn tám chưa.
I only spent about $6 today, but that's still quite a bit for an unemployed guy like me. What does a day look like for a single, unemployed young man? Waking up, going to work, and being a YouTuber, what could be interesting about that? Hello everyone. I hope you're having a good day, wherever you are in the world. Today, I woke up at 5 a.m. The sun hadn't come up yet, and the countryside was still completely quiet. There was something peaceful about that moment. No traffic, no noise, just the sound of the early morning and the feeling that a new day was about to begin. I'm trying to change my life little by little, and I've realized recently that change doesn't always start with something huge. Sometimes it simply begins with waking up early and taking care of your surroundings. So the first thing I did was tidy up my bedroom. It wasn't anything special, just putting things back in their proper places and making the room look a bit neater and cleaner. Yet, for some reason, a clean room makes my mind feel clearer too. My pillow is quite old, but it holds sentimental value for me. I love it and have slept with it since I was 10, quite a long time. Although I clean it regularly, it inevitably shows signs of age over time. After that, I took care of my personal grooming. I really needed to. My beard had grown so long that looking in the mirror, I resembled a middle-aged man. So today I couldn't put it off any longer. I had to shave. It's interesting how a simple act like shaving can make you feel like a completely different person. After freshening up, I moved on to some household chores. These are ordinary tasks that most people likely give little thought to. Yet, when living a simple life, these small duties become an integral part of your daily routine. There is no one else to do the work for you. If the house is messy, you clean it yourself. If there is no food, you prepare it yourself. And if something needs fixing, you figure out how to repair it on your own. After finishing my chores, I started preparing breakfast. It was a simple meal, yet there is a distinct feeling of satisfaction in enjoying food you've prepared yourself. Perhaps because you know exactly where the ingredients come from, or because you feel grateful to have something warm to start the day. While having breakfast, I found myself reflecting on how much my life has changed. There was a time when I lived in a constant rush, rushing to work, rushing to earn money, and rushing to become someone I thought I had to be. But now my mornings are much more peaceful. I am learning to cherish the things I used to overlook. A tidy room, a simple breakfast, a quiet morning, or a small task completed with my own hands. To an outsider, these things might not seem like much. Yet, when life gets tough, we realize that happiness doesn't always come from having more. Sometimes, happiness is simply waking up and knowing there is another day ahead to strive for something. And that is exactly what I am trying to do. Live each morning fully and tackle small tasks one by one. I don't know exactly where this journey will lead, but I know I don't want to give up. So my day begins like this. 5 a.m., the peaceful countryside, a few chores, a simple breakfast, and another day to keep moving forward. Thank you for being here with me. I hope you'll continue to join me on this journey because I believe the best part of the story is yet to come. Afterward, another small task awaited me, assembling a hammock. It sounds easy enough, but whenever I assemble or fix something myself, there's always a risk of things going wrong. I took my time, handling everything step by step. This is the computer I just invested all my savings into for YouTube. I thought it would be successful, but so far, I haven't seen any results. Maybe it's because I was too impatient. Or maybe it's because I wanted to be able to provide for my parents and grandfather sooner. This is one of the cameras I bought when I was still living in the city. I bought it on Shopee for around $200. I mainly used it to film sports videos, travel vlogs, and everyday moments. And this is another camera from Canon. It cost me around $300. When I was living in the city, I worked as a photographer on the side. Photography was both a hobby and a small source of income for me. Whenever someone needed a photographer, they could contact me and I would go with them to take photos during their trips, special occasions, graduation ceremonies, landscapes, and even weddings. I usually got paid after the photo session was finished. Most of the time, I accepted these jobs after finishing my office work. As soon as my working day ended, instead of going home and resting, I would take my camera and go to another job. I didn't want to waste any opportunity to earn a little extra money, because behind every hour I worked, there was something much more important waiting for me at home: my family. I knew that every dollar I earned could help with the expenses of everyday life. So even when I was tired, I kept going. Looking back now, these cameras are more than just pieces of equipment to me. They remind me of the days when I was struggling, working during the day, taking photography jobs at night, and doing everything I could to build a better life. I didn't have much, but I was always trying, and perhaps that is what these cameras mean to me the most. They are not just cameras. They are a reminder of how hard I once fought for the people I love. And here's my YouTube channel. I currently have nearly 300 friends. Thank you all for your affection and for joining me on this journey. I am truly happy and delighted to have your support. My channel is currently brand new, so I'm still a long way off from getting paid by YouTube. I really don't know much about the platform yet, so if anyone has any advice or suggestions, please feel free to share them. I'm all ears. I'm going to show you how to create a YouTube video to upload. I learned the process from a tutorial video on YouTube, so I'm following those steps. Please feel free to offer feedback if you notice any mistakes. First, I take the footage I've filmed and import it into CapCut, which is a free app. I capture everyday moments, put them all into CapCut, stitch the short clips together into a full-length video, and add a voiceover to create the finished product. Editing videos is very time-consuming. I usually do it at night because that is when I am free, often working until 1 or 2 a.m. My parents always urge me to go to bed early, but I am young and want to push myself harder so that my family doesn't have to struggle. People often see the finished video on YouTube, but they rarely see what happens behind the screen. Uploading a video is only one small part of the process. Before a video can go online, I have to edit hours of footage, choose the right moments, write the story, adjust the sound, create subtitles, and design a thumbnail that can make someone want to click. And most of the time, I do all of this late at night. When the rest of the house is quiet and everyone is already asleep, that is when my second working day begins. Sometimes I sit in front of the computer until 1 or even 2 a.m. My eyes become tired. My body wants to sleep. But I keep telling myself, just finish this part first. Then another hour passes, and another. Sometimes I look at the clock and realize that it's already past midnight. My parents often tell me to stop working and go to bed. They worry that I'm pushing myself too hard, and I understand why they worry. They don't want to see me exhausted, but there is something they may not completely understand. I'm not staying awake because I want to make my life harder. I'm doing it because I want my life to become different. I know I'm still young, and I know that if I want to build something for myself, I have to be willing to sacrifice some comfort along the way. There are nights when I'm exhausted and honestly want to shut everything down. Sometimes I wonder if all this effort will actually lead somewhere. What if nobody watches? What if the video fails? What if I spend hours editing, only for the video to receive almost no views? Those thoughts sometimes come into my mind, but then I think about my family, and I remember why I started. I don't want my parents to spend their whole lives worrying about money. I don't want my family to struggle whenever something unexpected happens. I want to become someone they can depend on. That is why I keep working. Every video is another attempt. Every thumbnail is another opportunity. Every late night is another small step toward the life I hope to build. Maybe from the outside, staying up until 2 a.m. editing a YouTube video doesn't look like much. But for me, it means something much bigger. It is my way of fighting for a better future. I may not have money. I may not have a successful career right now. And I certainly don't know whether this journey will work out. But I still have time. I still have my hands. I still have my camera. And most importantly, I still have the courage to try. So while everyone else is sleeping, sometimes you'll find me sitting here in the quiet darkness, staring at my computer screen and working on the next video. I don't know where this journey will take me, but I know one thing. I don't want to look back years from now and regret that I didn't try hard enough. Because behind every video I make, there is more than just a YouTube channel. There is a young man trying to change his life. And behind that young man is a family he desperately wants to protect. So if you're watching my videos and supporting me, please know that every view, every comment, and every kind word means more to me than you probably realize. You are not just watching a video. You're becoming a small part of my journey. And I hope that one day, when I finally reach the place I've been working toward, I can look back at these long nights and say, it was all worth it. I have always loved animals, especially my 2 dogs. To me, they are not just pets. They are part of my family, and sometimes they feel more like my closest friends. Whenever I come home, they are always there waiting for me, no matter how tired or difficult my day has been. They don't care whether I have money, a successful job, or anything else. They are simply happy to see me. They are both incredibly cute, and having them around makes the house feel warmer and less lonely. I try my best to take good care of them, giving them food, keeping them clean, and making sure they feel safe and loved. Sometimes I sit and play with them for a while, and somehow, those simple moments can make all the stress in my mind disappear. Life can be difficult sometimes, but having these 2 little friends beside me reminds me that happiness doesn't always have to be something expensive or complicated. Sometimes it is just a dog running toward you, wagging its tail, and looking at you as if you are the most important person in the world. That is why I will always take care of them and give them the love they deserve. To me, they are not just 2 dogs living in my house. They are 2 little members of my family, and I'm grateful to have them by my side.
Bạn kia cũng muốn.
Đây, bông nè. Bông nè. Bông.
Nhảy cái này.
Ngắn chứ ngắn.
Ho mệt, mệt ăn ho.
Ngắn, chỉ cần ngắn. Đâu? Đây. Đây, đây bông đây nè. Bông đây nè.
Tức mình là không lên đây. Không lên được là không lên.
Chân ngắn. Mà bữa nấu nồi nó ăn mà cái dẹp. Quay giờ nó bắt cạnh bên dưới. Mình cắn đầu nó ứa lắm. Lâu lâu canh thì mình canh mình
Nhọc mũi để ốm. Bay à.
Đây.
Nặng, nặng lắm.
I never thought losing my job would bring me back home, back to the small village I once dreamed of escaping, back to the old house where I grew up, and back to the man who had been waiting for me all this time, my 82-year-old grandfather. For 3 years, I had been away from home. I left my hometown believing that if I worked hard enough, I could build a better life. I wanted money. I wanted independence. I wanted to prove that I could make it on my own. And for a while, I thought I was doing exactly that. I had a job. I had an income. Every month, I could pay my bills, and whenever I could, I sent money back home, especially for my grandfather. My grandfather is 82 years old. He has spent his entire life working hard and taking care of his family. Today, he lives in an old house in the countryside. The walls are faded, the furniture is worn out. Some things have been repaired many times, and other things probably should have been replaced years ago. But Grandpa never complains. He doesn't ask for much. He has learned to live with what he has. His health is not good anymore. He has liver disease and diabetes, and he needs medicine every month. Even though I was living far away, I always tried to send him money for his medicine. It wasn't a lot of money, but I knew it mattered. Sometimes I would call him and ask, "Grandpa, do you have enough money for your medicine?" And he would always give me the same answer. "Don't worry about me. Save your money." That was my grandfather. Even when he needed help, he was still thinking about me. But then everything changed. The job market became harder. The company I was working for started struggling. Work became less stable and my income started disappearing. At first, I told myself it was only temporary. I thought things would get better. I kept searching, I kept applying, I kept telling myself, just keep going. But eventually, I lost my job. And suddenly I had no income. The money I had saved wasn't enough to last very long. Every day I became more worried. Not just about myself, but about my grandfather. Before this happened, I could send him money every month. Now I couldn't even promise that. I remember sitting alone one night, looking at the balance in my bank account. It wasn't much. I started thinking about the next month. Food, bills, transportation, everything suddenly felt uncertain. And then I thought about my grandfather's medicine. That was the part that hurt the most. And then I thought about my grandfather's medicine. That was the part that hurt the most. I could survive with less food. I could stop buying things. I could live more simply. But what if my grandfather needed his medicine and I couldn't help him? What if he called me and I had nothing to send? That thought kept me awake. For the first time in years, I felt completely powerless. I had spent so much time trying to build a better future, and suddenly, I didn't even know what tomorrow would look like. Then one day, I made a decision. I was going home. Not because I had succeeded, but because I had failed. At least that's how I felt at the time. I packed my things. There wasn't much to pack. A few clothes, some personal belongings, and a lot of thoughts I couldn't organize. On the way home, I kept asking myself, what am I going to do now? Can I start over? Can I build a life back in my hometown? I don't have much money. I don't have a stable job. I don't even know what I'm going to do next. But one thought kept coming back to me. At least I'll be close to my family and close to Grandpa. Maybe starting over doesn't always mean going somewhere new. Maybe sometimes starting over means going back to where you came from. So I decided to try. I would return home. I would find a way to make a living. Maybe I could start a small business. Maybe I could work online. Maybe I could do something with farming. Maybe I would fail again. I didn't know, but I knew one thing. I didn't want to spend another year chasing money while being far away from the people I loved. A few days after returning home, I went to visit my grandfather. His house is not big. It's old, very old. The walls have faded over the years. The furniture is worn out. Some things have been repaired many times. Other things probably should have been replaced years ago, but Grandpa never complains. When I walked through the door, I saw him sitting quietly inside. He looked smaller than I remembered. Maybe it was because I hadn't seen him for so long, or maybe he really had become weaker. I called out, "Grandpa." He looked up, and then he smiled. That smile, I can't really explain it. It was simple, but it made me feel like I had finally come home. He looked at me and asked, "How's work?" I didn't know what to say, so I told him the truth. "I lost my job, Grandpa." He looked at me for a moment. Then he said, "It's okay. You're still young. You can start again." She is the owner of the shop, and she wanted to help me move my bike to a spot sheltered from the rain. People here are very kind. They are always ready to help with the little things, and I really appreciate these gestures.
Cái xe này phải cắt tạ đấy.
The weather where I am right now is quite unpredictable, with frequent, widespread rain and damp conditions. I finally made it home with the spice tray for him.
Cậu ăn cơm chưa? Ông xuống dọn nhà cho ông.
Có. Đi nào. Cái chỗ gì thì không sai được.
Đây là cạo sơn.
Lúc cạo đi. Đó. Đó. Bố nói rồi bây giờ ra bữa bố ăn cứ ăn. Cơm đi. Bố Đâu mà là
This old bicycle may not look like much. The paint is faded, the seat is worn out. The wheels are old and rusty. But to my grandfather, this bicycle is more than just a bicycle. He is 82 years old now. His health is not what it used to be. He has liver disease and diabetes, and he lives alone in an old house in the countryside. When he was younger, this bicycle took him everywhere. He rode it to the market, to work, and around the village. Sometimes, when I was a child, he would put me on the back and take me with him. Those were simple moments, but they became some of my most precious memories.
Ngái cái xương đấy không?
Dạ còn một vấn đi. Nó bầu. Thì các hải đầy với chú Dương Huy với ông Châu nước còn mấy ông cái thành phố ông cũng bảo mấy cái bà cũng bảo làm con mầm được làm mộ ông cũng làm con mầm.
Xuống không nghe.
Ông bảo nó ông mà mời nó xuống không không mời.
Nhà nó to đi mà.
Ừ?
Nhà nó to.
Có cái nguyện thì là báo ăn nhiều. Chưa ăn nhiều.
What is the harsh reality of life for the poor in Vietnam? Does it match what is seen on social media, or are there hidden aspects that the country keeps under wraps? Join me as we take a look at how the poorest people in Vietnam spend their days.
Vẫn lợn muối này, đắt hơn.
Hi everyone, I'm Huang. Right now, I'm at my grandfather's house. It's about 3 p.m. and everyone is starting to prepare dinner. The afternoon is slowly coming to an end, but there's still a lot to do. In a simple home like this, preparing a meal isn't just about cooking. It's part of everyday life. Everyone helps with whatever needs to be done, washing vegetables, preparing the ingredients, and getting everything ready before the meal. There's nothing fancy here, but these simple moments are a big part of life in the Vietnamese countryside. Today, I want to take you along and show you what an ordinary afternoon looks like in my family, and what life can be like when you don't have much money, but still find happiness in the little things. While everyone is busy preparing dinner, I'm going to head out to the garden and check on one of my favorite trees. My grandfather's giant sugar apple tree. I actually planted this tree when I was 20 years old. At the time, it was just a small plant. I never imagined that one day it would grow this big and produce so much fruit. Now, several years later, the tree is huge and it's producing more sugar apples than we can eat. The texture is soft and rich, almost like eating something with the tenderness of shredded chicken, but with a naturally sweet flavor. It's honestly hard to describe until you try it yourself. And this is Bong, my mischievous little guy. He loves being pampered and having his fur stroked. Given the sweltering heat of northern Vietnam, an evaporative air cooler is indispensable. My grandfather is visibly bothered by the weather. The elderly are particularly sensitive to such conditions and prone to falling ill. Today marks the 26th anniversary of my grandmother's passing. I'm 25 years old now, so sadly, I never had the chance to meet her. I only know her through the stories my parents have told me. They told me that she passed away from cancer. I often wonder what those final years must have been like for her, and how much she had to endure. Cancer is one of the illnesses that many Vietnamese families fear deeply. For families with limited incomes, the fear isn't only about the disease itself. Medical treatment can also be incredibly expensive, and access to proper care can be difficult. Today, we're not here to talk about money or illness. We're here to remember someone who was once a very important part of our family. On the anniversary of her passing, we prepare some of her favorite dishes and place them on the family altar as an offering. It's a simple tradition, but it means a lot to us. We do this because, even though she has been gone for 26 years, she is still remembered. Everyone in the family misses her, but I think my mother misses her the most. She often tells me stories about her mother, little memories from when she was young, things they did together, and moments that she still carries with her today. And whenever my mother talks about her, I can see the tears in her eyes. I may have never met my grandmother, but through my mother's stories, I feel like I've slowly come to know the person she was. Maybe that's one of the hardest things about losing someone. Time passes, years go by, life continues. But the love we have for someone doesn't simply disappear. Sometimes all we can do is remember them, prepare the food they loved, light a little incense, and quietly hope that wherever they are, they can still feel how much their family misses them. Today, I'm thinking about my grandmother, someone I never got to meet, but someone who will always be a part of my family. These are vintage bicycles from Vietnam. One belonged to my grandfather's younger sister and the other to his older brother. Neither of them liked riding motorbikes. They preferred bicycles. I also encourage them to cycle because it keeps the body active and improves health. He and I are burning paper, specifically what is known as spirit money or underworld money. According to Vietnamese custom, we burn this for the deceased to use in the afterlife. It is a symbolic aspect of Vietnamese culture.
Rồi mới lá này.
So yeah.
Rồi.
In Vietnam, we are very united. Everyone pitches in to help with cooking and cleaning up. I really love this sense of solidarity among Vietnamese people. The men sit at a separate table to drink, while the women who do not drink. I don't think I can fully put into words how happy I feel to be back home with my family. After spending years working and struggling to make a living in the city, I slowly started to realize something. For a long time, I thought happiness meant having more money. I thought that if I could find a better job, earn a higher income, live in a nicer apartment, and afford more things, then I would finally feel successful. But after living that life for a while, I realized that something was still missing. What I was truly looking for wasn't a bigger apartment, it wasn't an expensive car, it wasn't a high-paying job, and it certainly wasn't a life where I had to constantly prove that I was successful. What I was missing was home. I was missing the feeling of sitting down at a table with my family. I was missing the sound of my parents talking in the next room. I was missing the simple meals we used to share. I was missing the feeling of being around people who genuinely cared about me. People who don't care how much money I have in my bank account. People who don't judge me by my job or my income. People who don't expect anything from me in return. My family has always been that place for me. No matter how long I've been away, I know that when I come home, there are people waiting for me, and that feeling is worth more than I used to understand. Living in the city taught me a lot. It taught me how hard it can be to survive on your own. It taught me that earning money isn't as easy as it sometimes looks from the outside. Every day you wake up and go to work. You deal with pressure. You compete with other people. You worry about bills. You worry about your future. You try to save a little money. And then you wake up the next morning and do it all over again. Sometimes you become so focused on making a living that you forget to actually live. You spend your best years chasing something that always seems to be just a little farther away. And somewhere along the way, you can forget why you started working so hard in the first place. For me, the answer has always been my family, especially my parents. They are two of the most important people in my life. They are not rich. They don't have fancy things. They live a very simple life. But to me, they are the richest people in the world because of the love they have given me. My parents have always been the kind of people who put their children first. If there is something good to eat, they want their children to have it. If there is only a little bit left, they will say they are not hungry. If I tell them to eat something delicious, they will often smile and tell me, just eat it. You need it more. Sometimes I know they want it too, but they still give it to me. When I was younger, I didn't always understand what that meant. I thought it was just something parents did. But as I've gotten older, I've started to understand. That is love. Real love doesn't always come with big words. Sometimes it looks like a parent quietly giving you the better piece of food. Sometimes it looks like someone waiting for you to come home. Sometimes it's a simple question like, "Did you eat yet?" Those small things may seem ordinary, but one day, when you're far away from home, you realize just how valuable they really are. And that's one of the reasons I want to work hard. I want to become someone my parents can depend on. I want to be able to give something back to the people who spent so many years giving everything to me. I have promised myself that one day I will earn enough to take care of my family. I want my parents to have a more comfortable life. I want them to be able to enjoy good food without worrying about the price. I want them to be able to rest when they are tired instead of always thinking about work. And more than anything, I want them to know that all the sacrifices they made for their children were worth it. But I also know that dreams like this don't happen overnight. Making a good income is difficult. Building a stable life takes time. There will be failures. There will be mistakes. There will be days when I work hard and see almost no results. There will probably be moments when I question whether I'm on the right path, but I don't want to give up. Right now, I'm still figuring things out. I'm learning new skills. I'm trying to improve myself. I'm learning how to manage my time better. I'm learning how to become more disciplined. And I'm trying to understand what kind of life I really want to build. I'm not starting with a lot, but maybe that's okay. Because sometimes, the most meaningful journeys begin when you have almost nothing. You have to start with what you have. You take one small step, then another. And eventually, those small steps become something bigger. I don't know exactly where this journey will lead me. I don't know how long it will take. Maybe it will take 1 year, maybe 5 years, maybe even longer. What is the reality of life in the most impoverished parts of Asia really like? Is it harsh and dangerous, or is it a safe place? Hello everyone and welcome back. Today, I want to take you somewhere that reveals a very different side of everyday life in Vietnam. We're going to visit a local market that mainly serves working class and low-income families. For many people, this is not simply a place to go shopping. It is where they come every day to find fresh food, basic necessities, and everything their families need to get through another day. Unlike large supermarkets, where prices can sometimes be higher, local markets like this are often much more affordable. People come here looking for the best prices they can find, comparing different stalls, choosing what they need, and carefully managing every bit of money they have. For families living on a limited income, even a small difference in price can make a real difference at the end of the day. So today, let's walk through this market together. I want to show you what it really looks like, what people buy, how much things cost, and what everyday shopping is like for ordinary Vietnamese families. This is a simple part of daily life, but behind every purchase, there is often a story of hard work, sacrifice, and making the most of what you have. So, let's take a look and experience this market together. One of the things you'll notice immediately when walking through this market is the fresh fruit. Instead of large supermarkets with big modern displays, the fruit here is usually sold at small, simple stalls. The stalls may not look fancy, but they offer an amazing variety of fresh produce. You can find different kinds of tropical fruits, from familiar favorites to seasonal fruits that are only available at certain times of the year. What I really love about shopping here is that the fruit is not only fresh, but also very affordable. For families on a tight budget, being able to buy fresh, nutritious fruit without spending a fortune is incredibly important. This is one of the reasons why local markets remain such an important part of daily life in Vietnam. The amount I paid for this small batch of longans was about 0.25. They taste very sweet and refreshing. I love beautiful flowers, so this collection really caught my eye. I'll film it to show you all. There are so many lovely varieties here that people buy to arrange in vases. I'm going to give this mini gold shop another look. I'm not sure if the gold is real or fake, but neither the security guard nor the thief seems to be paying any attention to it. I invited a friend to come along because I'm very shy about going out to crowded places like that. This is an elderly woman weaving bamboo baskets. She has about 20 years of experience in this craft and will sell the baskets once they are finished. Bamboo weaving is a long-standing traditional craft in Vietnam in which artisans use bamboo strips, split and processed by hand, to create practical items for daily life. Common products include baskets, winnowing trays, round flat trays, hampers, and various bamboo decorative items. Artisans require great skill and patience to split the bamboo into thin strips, shave them to a uniform thickness, and weave them into various patterns. This craft is not merely a means of livelihood, but also a cultural feature of the Vietnamese countryside, deeply intertwined with the simple lives of generations of Vietnamese people. Bánh ja is a type of traditional rice wafer popular in Vietnam, particularly in the northern and central regions. It is typically made from finely ground rice flour, spread into a thin layer, and then sun-dried. As the afternoon arrives, this local market becomes even more lively. Every corner seems to be filled with people coming and going. Vendors are busy arranging their goods, calling out to customers, and preparing fresh food for the evening. Shoppers move from one stall to another, carefully choosing what they need for their families. You can hear conversations, laughter, the sounds of motorcycles passing by, and the voices of vendors filling the air. It may look chaotic at first, but there is something very warm and familiar about this scene. This is what an ordinary afternoon at a traditional Vietnamese market looks like. Simple, busy, and full of life. For many local people, this market is not just a place to buy food. It is a part of their everyday life, where neighbors meet, sellers earn a living, and families come together to prepare for another evening at home.
Ờ. Cô cho quay một tí nhá.
I've read so many of your comments encouraging me to visit places like this. Many of you told me that you wanted to see more than just the beautiful and popular side of Vietnam. You wanted me to show the everyday lives of ordinary people, especially those living on lower incomes. And honestly, your comments gave me a lot of courage. For a long time, I felt shy about taking my camera out in public. I was afraid of making people uncomfortable, and sometimes I even felt nervous about approaching unfamiliar places and capturing these everyday moments. But today, I decided to be a little braver. I put my fear aside, picked up my camera, and went out to document these simple moments of everyday life. And once I started looking through the lens, I realized just how much beauty there is in these ordinary places. There are hardworking people, kind smiles, traditional foods, fascinating customs, and so many small moments that you might never see in a typical tourist video. These are the stories and moments that make Vietnam feel real to me. I hope that through my videos, you can understand a little more about the lives of ordinary Vietnamese people and see the beauty that exists beyond the places shown in guidebooks. I'm still learning, and I'm still trying to become more confident with every video I make. But I truly hope you'll join me on this journey. Thank you for watching, supporting me, and encouraging me to step outside my comfort zone. If you enjoy discovering the real, simple, and authentic side of Vietnam, I hope you'll stay with me and follow along for the journey ahead.
Đây đấy áo hồng nó đi con đấy cũng giống nghe cũng giống nhau mà này còn khác đâu đây.
Đang về thôi nhỉ.
Cho em không đấy một cái.
Gói thì đang ăn nè.
Số tính. Tiền này.
Em một cái là
Anh ơi lấy đĩa đi em ơi.
trai hay là cháu gửi tiền.
I happened to come across a beggar and gave her $2, as I didn't have much cash on me at the time. She looked truly pitiful, perhaps she had no family left. It was a heartbreaking sight. She deserved love and compassion from everyone. If I had the means, I would have loved to help her even more. Life can be incredibly harsh for many people, and we never know when someone might need a little kindness from us. Sometimes, a small gesture carries far more significance than we might imagine.
Tiếp hàng chó đón kìa.
Cực ngại.
Nàng ngại ăn.
Hay à.
Dạ.